Hey, welcome to Absurdist Asylum. I am Jason Velarde. Today I will be joined as always by Jeff Hutchinson and our good friend Peter. And today we'll be telling some ghost stories. Jeff and I have some personal anecdotes that we'll get to later in the show. And I've gathered some evidence from off the internet that we will debate together. It was a great conversation. I had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoy hearing it. And thanks for coming to the asylum.
Nail salons, Jesus of Nazareth.
Jesus nail salon.
Whoop whoop.
Hey, should we do a shot before we start?
Yes, let's do a shot before we start. The
Okay,
only
so
bad part about my setup is in order to do a shot, I have to take my headphones off.
We're gonna do a shot, and then we're going to random bullshit, and then we're all gonna come.
Yes.
Well, simultaneously?
Yeah. Yeah. You better be ready, because if it's not all at once, it's gay.
It's just a coincidence. We do it at the same
Yeah,
time.
you do it at the same time. That's just serendipity.
This is the gayest thing. That is the gayest word. Serendipity.
Serendipity. I really hate people whose first name is 2 syllables. It's all about the 1 syllables. Just you got a 1 letter, you got the middle to tie it all together, and you throw a little bit on the end for good measure, but it's all still 1 syllable. That's
You know what I hate? People who have redundant letters in their name. Like, what's the extra F for? Why is there 2?
There's not 2. Yeah, now you don't know what to do. You
Because
bitch.
his name is
It says
spelled
right here on your
G-E-O-F.
Facebook. I'm looking at it right now. It says Jeff Hutchison.
No.
Huggleson. Sorry, Huggleson.
G-F-F-A. Well, I mean,
No.
we can't all be Peters.
That's
We can't all be Peters with Peters.
Peters with Peters. So, we're here today to talk about ghosts. Jeff, Peter, how's it going?
hi.
Fuck you, Peter.
God damn it, Jeff. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry, everybody. We had a little bit of a tiff before we got on the air, and
Is it really the air if you record it beforehand?
I think there's probably not a better way to say it, but I think that works just fine.
I like to call it on the deep net. I like to call it balls deep in the dark net.
Yeah, well, episode 5, we're pretty deep down there in the net.
Is this really 5?
I believe, yeah.
is that counting the last episode?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
There's
I think
no
you're
evidence that exists.
There's not.
I know, that's like the last
just some
episode.
faded memories. So when we hear the word ghosts, a lot of us will think of the reason we believe or the reason we don't believe. I know that we've talked about this before. You guys have reasons that you do or don't believe. We'll talk about that later. And there's lots of quote unquote, and I put very heavy quotes on that evidence online, pointing towards the existence of ghosts or the existence of something happening after we die. A lot of it is hokey and easy to disprove, but there's some really interesting stuff out there as far as stuff that can't be disproven or stuff that just downright puts a chill through your spine. I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about. I know you guys have a couple of things that you want to talk about. Is there anything that you guys wanted to get out of the way first?
Fuck you, Peter.
What?
What?
As of right now, I do not believe in ghosts.
All
I'm
right.
just gonna make that stance right now. I'm looking forward to guys' stories, though. For all you listeners at home, Jeff and Jason both have some sort of evidence. So I have yet
Not
to be
evidence.
persuaded.
It's an anecdote, personal anecdote.
Yeah.
But
I wanna preface this with if the story / stories didn't happen to me, I still would not believe in. I wouldn't believe in ghosts at all, and I'm honestly not sure that I do, even though it's weird the stuff that happened. But I'm still to this day keep trying to think how maybe a ghost wouldn't be involved, because I think that when you die, you just turn into a bunch of shit, and that's it.
So before we get to your anecdote, we have an anecdote from Japan. Now I sent you guys this article, and we will link it in the online, um, talking about how since the tsunami disaster in Japan of March of 2011, there has been a rash of cabbies who claim to be picking up spirits. There's really no other way to say it. They claim to be picking up spirits of the tsunami victims. Um, they what seems to be happening is that the drivers will pick up a fare like any other fare. They'll start their meter, and the in most cases, without warning or word, the fare that was sitting in the back of their car disappears without a trace. Oftentimes, this leaves the driver with the responsibility to pay the missing fare, um, which kind of leads you to question why somebody would make up a story like this. Uh, Jeff and Peter, you guys got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, you just answered why they make up a story is because they're irresponsible cab drivers and they have a bunch of missing fares that they have to pay for. So
Hey,
they're like clearly drunk on the job, as they always are, for legal reasons. I should probably say allegedly, but definitely drunk all the time.
Well, we're not naming any names.
And so then they show up and their boss is like, why the hell did you drive 200 miles today, but you only like have a fare for like a little bit? And he's like, ghosts. It was ghosts. Problem solved. We just solved Japan.
Well, yeah. And a lot of people would argue that Japan's culture is riddled with ghost stories, and their movie industry is famous for the horror genre. So it wouldn't be without question that that's probably the first thing that a cab driver would jump to if he saw something odd or he needed to make up a good story.
maybe they're just killing people and pocketing their money.
Oh, there you go.
And then I like it, but then they're just making more ghosts.
And contributing to the problem. So I
Yeah.
guess that doesn't really make sense.
It's a vicious cycle.
Hashtag
like-
down with the ghost population.
Do you want too many ghosts?
Build a wall.
Yeah, you gotta build a wall. That's just irresponsible of them to keep making ghosts like that.
So speaking of violent murders, did you guys read anything about the Amityville ghost that I sent you guys?
I already know about the medieval ghost.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know all about this story. Most people do. It's easily one of the most famous haunted houses in America. Some people don't know about the actual photo. Obviously, we'll link that online. It's just a black and white photo. It was taken in 1979, which was 7 years after the murders where Ronald Jr. DeFeo killed his family, including his little brother John Matthew. But this is one of the pictures that I find the most convincing because of just the similarity. The little boy in the photo looks remarkably similar to the John Matthew DeFeo, the boy who was murdered by his brother. Did you guys saw this picture?
Yeah,
Yeah, and you guys have thoughts on it?
I do. First off, I would say that I think the only similarities between the kid in the picture and the actual kid are kind of like just in our brains. Because if you look at that picture, the facial features aren't even the same. Like, am I crazy on this? Like, they're really not. I think the only reason you think that is because you're initially told, like, that's what this is, and it's such a low, like, such a low definition photo. You're just like, your brain fills in the rest and says, yeah, it's this. And I don't think it is. And I always knew about that picture, and I always thought it was a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Even though it was before, I know they say, like, it was before Photoshop and everything. that doesn't mean shit.
That's not true. I mean, you can
Yeah, you could edit.
there's practical effects.
Yeah,
And
you could edit pictures since like
yeah.
the beginning of a handheld camera. Like it's not a it's you don't need Photoshop to do it. And
So
I
Jeff,
really
go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you said that you do believe ghosts because of your personal experiences. Have you? I'm sure that you've done some research on this. Have you seen any photos that were convincing?
No.
No,
No.
not one.
No.
Okay,
Not a single one.
okay.
And it's even if it was possible to get worse, the videos are even worse.
Wow.
Especially having like a very like I would maybe call it slightly above knowledge of like editing and like productions and things like that. I have never once seen even a slightly convincing ghost video ever.
I feel like ghost videos kind of really fell off and just appearing ever since cell phones got more like with cameras got more prevalent. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it's happened less and less. I mean,
yeah,
which which is what you would expect, like which is the exact opposite of what you would expect
yeah,
if sightings were actually real.
yep,
Well,
You know?
and I've heard that argument before, and people make the same argument about anything that's paranormal, like Bigfoot or UFOs. Um, yeah, I think that most ghost videos out there are pretty hokey, and they're pretty easy to spot, especially if you're somebody who watches a lot of them. When I was researching this episode, I went down a wormhole that like I even put myself in the mood where I had the heebie-jeebies just walking around the building that I do security at night. Like I don't really think that I'm ever gonna run into a spirit. I do live in a very old house, but I've never had an experience here. But so I guess it's kind of jumping around a little bit. But you're talking about skeptics and breaking down videos. Jeff said had a little bit of knowledge about video production. Um, there is a YouTube channel called Captain Disillusion, and Peter, I know you said you've heard of him before. Jeff, I don't know if you have, but he is a skeptic who, pardon me, has knowledge of video editing. He's actually very good at it, and he's very good about picking out how certain videos are edited. Um, Peter, what are some of the videos that you've seen him debunk?
Um, it's been a lot of stuff. You know, he basically picks apart people's camera editing skills. Oh, like there was one of the paranormal ones that I saw. There was this Russian video. No one really knows how old it is,
Oh, the
but there's a
floating
guy
girl.
walking his yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
guy walking his dog, and he comes across in this clearing. What looks like a woman and a younger girl in a clearing, and the girl's like floating. And so what he did is he looked at that, like how the girl was hanging, kind of figured out, here's how we could accomplish this same sort of effect through special effects. And, it basically came down to, this is something that is completely doable through modern technology. So, and he makes a pretty convincing argument too as to like, that's probably what they did is they hung a girl from a rope in a tree and then edited out the rope, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is actually convinced me, changed my mind about a video that I thought was pretty intriguing.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you guys saw it, the Disneyland video, the Disneyland Ghost video. That's what you'll look at on YouTube, and of course we'll link it. It's a video of a four-way security camera, and there seems to be a spirit walking along this path through Disneyland, and then at the end, and it goes across the four cameras cover four different sections of this path, and it goes across all four sections, and then at the end, it like walks over a lake. And I thought it was interesting just because seemed like it was on such an old security camera that and the guy was recording the security camera with his cell phone. And just the way that there was kind of a weird glow to it made me think that there was something there. But what he said was that it was actually because they reused the tapes that were recorded in
Oh.
security cameras, and the last camera had changed the angle a little bit, and that's why it looked like he walked across the lake. It was just like if you leave a TV with the same image on it for too long, that image will burn in
Uh-huh.
it. It's like this. There was an image of a guard doing his rounds, and because the last camera was at a different angle, it looked like the spirit had walked it, or the guy was walking across a lake. Which that's really what got me. I basically watched everything on this guy's channel. It was really interesting. But there's no way he could debunk everything.
So did that quote unquote ghost only appear on one camera reel, or it didn't appear on all four? I'm taking it.
No, it walked along the whole path, and the path had four different cameras on it. And
Uh-huh.
at the end, the fourth camera had its angle was changed.
Ah, okay.
So,
Huh.
yeah, and it was really interesting. It was like I have an open mind. Captain Disillusion's motto is "Love with all your heart and use your head for everything else." He says it at the end of every video, and it makes you think. You gotta keep an open mind about whether you believe something or whether you don't believe it. If you find good evidence, you've got to take it into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, you're awful quiet there. You got anything to say?
That video sucked. Everything's stupid.
The Disney video?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
That seems. I was wondering, what you could actually possibly So, I know a couple of videos that are security camera footage of ghosts,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of explanation. Well, as I'm running through my mind, the ones that I'm thinking about, that explanation of using older tapes, pre-digital, that makes a lot of sense for a lot of different. Well, I can think of two that would make sense for,
Mm-hmm.
because there was one that was for a ghost of Henry VIII. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one
Oh,
where
and
it's in
yeah, I've
London.
seen it. It's and he just kind of appears in the doorway. He doesn't really do
Yeah.
anything but stand in the doorway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one sounds like okay, so that because it would be hard to manipulate a security camera, because it is a secure camera in
Uh-huh.
pretty much most cases.
Well, it
It's
really
not. It's
depends
not.
on how it gets to you. But
Yeah,
if
but
it comes straight from somebody it's hard to manipulate. And that's another reason why I thought that Disney one was interesting, because it's like, how often does a Disney security footage get out? You know what I mean?
Was there even
yeah.
anything in that like? 'Cause I when I looked at that, I didn't think that's obviously Disney.
It was the path near the haunted mansion, which, saying that out loud, makes it sound,
Shocking.
yeah. But what are you gonna do? Like I said, there's a lot of hokey stuff out there, and that one's been, in my mind, significantly disproven.
That reminds me when I was walking into Pirates of the Caribbean and a real pirate came out.
Arr!
Around. He's like, "Arr!
Oh, you.
You don't
I'm Davy Jones back from the
like a
dead.
fucking idiot, do you? I sailed the seven seas."
Why does your breath smell like Coronas?
Yeah. And it turned out to just be me looking in a mirror. Just all things do.
So, Peter, you said you wanted to talk about possession.
Well, I guess so. I was more along the lines of what your guys' take on that is, because that is such a. I don't have anything prepared, but if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. So, possession is one of those things that I guess goes hand in hand with this sort of stuff, and there's plenty of reasons to kind of entertain the thoughts of that being real or not, because the Catholic Church, being a massive organization, actually contributes a part of their budget towards exorcists. We've all heard about plenty of stories about people actually becoming quote unquote possessed, and it's like, well, where is that coming from? Because here's from my perspective, ghosts and possessions and stuff, it really isn't real. But it doesn't make it any less interesting because then we kind of cross into the realm of like, psychological phenomenon. And why are people holding on to this? And why do people think, it is what they think it is? So when it comes to like, stuff like possession and being consumed by a demon, I mean, people start acting out. There's actually a story, and it's hard to like to debunk those stories too because the Catholic Church is awfully cagey about like what they release with their records. But I just like I wonder what it is. I wonder what it is when people actually start acting like they're possessed, because it's not just people making this stuff up.
Well, and I would have to agree. It's not people making stuff up. I would think that the way that people get these like weird places where they're going to convulsions, their eyes are rolling the back of their head, they're speaking in tongues, which I'll talk in a second about speaking in tongues. I think it's all a mental thing where they either start to feel maybe bad for something that they did or bad for something that they're thinking or whatever the case may be, and they start to convince themselves that this is like a demon inside of them, and it gets worse and worse inside their head before it starts manifesting in physical forms, whether they're either like yelling out random curse words at their parents or they're like convulsing. And I think that the mind is such a powerful tool that people can trick themselves into believing that things are occurring that aren't. I went to a church that was Pentecostal. If you don't know anything about Pentecostal, they don't let women wear pants or cut their hair. And they believe that when you're filled with the Holy Spirit, you start speaking in tongues. And the experience that they tried to get me to have, it seemed like it was such a reaction to all this weird, like all these people like they don't speak different language, they just like speak nonsense.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like it was just a reaction to all this weird stuff going on around, all this weird energy around you, and it's like it didn't seem real.
Well, I have an idea, and this is the conspiracy theorist of me coming out. So, Catholicism is one of the largest religions on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So, just like, and you can almost look at them as a sort of government, and that's what they were for a while before the Reformation. Okay. There was a whole tax-paying system. The Pope was like the king, so on and so forth, and they've been able to control a certain amount of society for a long time. Still up to this day, what the Pope says is gold. What if they used like instances of possession more as like a form of propaganda to like verify the church's position as a global authority, to say, oh yeah, totally, God is real. People are getting possessed by demons all the time. We're definitely still relevant. Pay attention to us. I mean,
Fear-based
I wouldn't
control.
put it past the Pope to do that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
like I said, fear-based
like,
control.
A 1,200-year-old institution, or like, no, it's not. Like that old of an institution hasn't like played some dirty fucking tricks like to stay in power this long. Just like we saw, before, when they're like, before Lutherans were like, you got to pay us money to atone for your sins. I mean, they've been full of shit for a long time. I mean,
it's been proven that they've been full of shit, but they're still one of the biggest organizations in the world. And it would make sense that they would use something like demons to keep that control, because it's something that nobody can disprove, and there's these instances where they claim, oh, this sickness is a demon inside of your child or inside of your grandma, or whatever the case may be.
I mean, they try and stay on top of like the public as much as they can. How like no one really. I find it weird how little of a dialogue there is about this. But with the last pope, the one that retired, the one that was like a Nazi when he was 8 years old,
Yeah.
and then this new guy came along and he's like, gays are okay, premarital sex is fine, just love each other, be cool.
Aliens are gonna be cool.
Yeah, like
we
if
talked about
aliens
that
did
earlier.
come around, like we totally accept them into the fold, and it's like, fuck, dude, where are you coming from? Oh, I get it. You're trying to appeal to as many people as possible, and probably Catholic Church's influence is waning a little bit, and they're trying to stay in the circle of public opinion.
Yeah, well, they're
Not
definitely
trying to seem that much of an outdated institution.
grabbing for people. I don't know if trying to convince people of demons is probably their biggest grab right now.
Probably an older trick.
Yeah.
One of those ones that's like, okay, get another bag, Catholic Church. We're not fucking falling for it. This one anymore, but yeah.
So speaking of old trick, everybody knows what an EVP is. They made a terrible movie about it. But have you?
What's the acronym stand for?
It's electronic voice phenomena.
Yeah.
So have you heard of a thing called the spirit box?
No.
Um, Basically what it does. Did you watch any of that Huff Paranormal? This is the guy who I saw do a bunch of it. Is Huff Paranormal on YouTube? But basically what it is a
Wait, real
device.
quick, is that one of the videos you sent?
Yeah.
It was in the links that I sent.
Yeah.
Well, tell the people at home about it. Tell the folks at home.
Yeah, Jeff, you've been awful quiet. Tell us what you think.
Well, I don't know the intricacies of the spirit box or whatever.
That's fine. I'll explain in a second.
Yeah, I just watched that video, only like 5 minutes of it, before I just got irritated with how retarded it was. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Oh, no, you better stop. That's what everything sounded like.
Ghost shows are so dumb.
It sounded like playing a like when I was younger, I used to have a cassette tape with like monster noises on it. And that is exactly what it sounded like. Just my cassette tape was badass and cool.
Uh-uh.
Well, on that note, do you guys want to take a shot?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow.
No.
Oh,
and I just want to not to backtrack too much, but
are you done with your story, Jeff?
What?
Jeff's still telling you a story, I think.
Oh well, we're doing shots too at the same time.
Okay.
But I was just gonna say, just to go back, what Peter said about possessions, I think, is indisputably the truth. And God is not real, and if he ever was, he's dead.
What? It's like a Catholic conspiracy?
Yeah.
I won't put dude, I would love to know more about the secrecy of the Catholic Church. I mean, they've been fucking little boys for that long. That's just the surface of it. You know what I mean? It's nuts. I would love to know exactly what the Catholic Church has been up to for the last 1,000 years.
I heard
fascinating to me.
they were jealous of the demons because they were
They have been so influential.
Boys.
It's like a world government that spans nations. It's such a unique thing.
Well, and then the way that they just ran across Latin America, killing and converting. It's like something out of a fucking sci-fi movie.
Well,
I get it. Across because of Catholicism. I get it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Hey, so Jeff, here's a perfect opening for your joke. Please, let's just get it on. Let's take a little joke break.
Joke break.
Joke break from Jeff. Okay. Jeff is on the stage.
Wait, I'm supposed to do that now?
Do the joke, yeah. I mean,
no,
Jeff.
Now the timing's all off. You have to.
Okay, I'll set you up. I'll buy you some time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a quick joke break here. All three of us kind of like to make up our own jokes, and then we'll run them by each other. Sometimes they suck, sometimes they don't. Jeff's got a little bit of stand up for us, about 30 seconds worth, and he'd like to get on the mic. So, Jeff Hutchison, ladies and gentlemen, let's take it away.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Unfortunately, there's a gas leak and the show's been canceled. Everybody go home.
Come on, just
This
okay.
is a different one that doesn't it doesn't have to do with sacrilege. But my friend one time asked me to open for him at his stand up show, and I said no, obviously. And then he kept asking me for like a week, and so I finally said I will do it if I can do one joke that's really not funny, but I just want to walk out and tell it and have that be the only joke and then walk away. And he was like, "Well, yeah, just run the joke by me." So it was I would go up there and I would say, my friend Carl came up to me the other day and said, "Hey, I just lost my virginity." And I said, "That's great, Carl." And he said, "Yeah, it's the first thing my dad and I have done since the divorce." And then I would just leave. And I told him that, and I was like, "I'll do it if I can just say that," and then walk away. And he was like, "I'm never asking you to do anything."
So,
But
Jeff, on that note,
yeah,
you have another story to tell us. Little less child rapey.
you don't know that. You haven't heard
Yeah,
the
I
story.
heard the story.
But if you like that joke, then stay tuned for next
Sounds
show
like
where we
this one.
talk all about child rape.
That's
Sorry.
that's not on the agenda, but
That last show just
we
did
can
it
get
for
it
me.
on the list. All right,
20
Jeff.
minutes in, I'm fucked. All right.
Wait, what are we doing?
You wanted to tell us the reason you thought your place in Manitou Springs was haunted.
Yes.
Yes. Well, so this actually spans over a very long amount of time, so I'm gonna cut out a lot of it because it's like for a year.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you tell us the good parts.
so okay. So first, let's just start. I move into this place in Manitou, which is a very small town that has a lot of weird people in it. Lots of like actual like Wiccan people around and people who do weird cult shit just because it's cool sometimes. So a very weird place. But
Fun
anyway,
place to be, though.
yeah, yeah, no, I like it. But that's why I moved out of there so quick. But I move into this place as like a duplex, and it was really weird because when I first went and looked at the place, I didn't remember this, but when I signed the lease and moved in, there was like a giant painting of a snake just like on my porch, like some weird serpent shit. I had no idea. So I was just like, whatever, Manitou, whatever. So and then there was also like all these weird like lizard and reptilian symbols like all over the apartment, and I was like, this is also weird, but like Manitou, you know. So just to give you an idea, like it was on the top floor, so there's like steps on the outside, and that's how you get up to my to where I lived. And first night I was there, I just hear like footsteps up and down the steps over and over and over, like all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. And so I'm just thinking, I haven't lived there yet, and it was windy outside, so I'm thinking like it's just the wind or something. And then I swear to God, I hear like the faintest child laughter, and it was just like, hee hee, like all weird. And so I was like, huh, whatever. And so didn't really think twice about it because again, still like a super skeptic. My girlfriend at the time comes over the next day and we're like watching a movie. Same thing, like the steps up and down, up and down, up and down. And she's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, I think that's just the wind." And she's like, "The laughter too?" And then I was like, "Holy fuck." Because then I thought, like, I was like, "Oh shit." So she's hearing this too. So it's definitely there. So then we hear, ah, ah, and it's like at the bottom of the
SpongeBob.
steps. So I was like, maybe I'll just take a peek out there, right? Look out, nothing's there. Shut the door. Then I hear ha 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 ha, as if it was outside the door.
No
And so
way.
so I was like,
That's
what the
nuts.
fuck? And I turned to her and I was like, did you hear that just now? And she was like shaking because she was so freaked out. And so I look outside and there's nothing. And so I'm just like, look, I mean, whatever. Ghosts are not real. Calm down. Anyway, random shit happens in this place for like a month, and I'm just kind of ignoring it.
What kind of random
then-
shit?
And then one night, I hear just like a noise in my kitchen. So I get up, look, nothing's there. Another noise in my kitchen. Get up, look, nothing's there.
What kind of noise?
Like a like scuffling, like scuffing on the floor. Like if you were like limping across it, kind of.
Jeff has 2 cats, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't at the time.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what makes this creepier. So so I hear that scuffing. Like look a couple more times, nothing. So then I go back to sleep, and all of a sudden I just hear like thrashing, just like, and so I'm like, what the fuck? Because I know this is real, and I get up, and everything in my middle room, like Peter, you had been there, you know, like I had that middle room.
yeah.
Everything in there is just like on the floor. And I was looking around, and I was thinking, like, did I leave a window open? Like, did the wind do this? And again, this is before I had the cats. And so it's interesting that you bring that up, because then when I finally got them, they would do weird shit where they would just stare in the corner and then kind of like stare in another corner, and they would not break their focus the entire time.
No.
That's fucking wild.
And so,
No.
so this is where it, this is where it's
No.
this is the spot where this is the finale here, because this is like I'm still my girlfriend at the time's like, this place is haunted, you need to move out. I'm like, there's no such thing as ghosts, like calm down. So one day I'm making this is so weird. So I'm sitting on the foot of my bed by the TV. My ex is sitting on the other side because she's doing like homework on her computer, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just watching this." And then she goes, "No, what are you?" And then she turns and looks, and she goes, "Have you been sitting there the whole time?" And I said, yeah." And she said, "Were you just running your fingers through my hair?" And I said, no. And so she's like freaking out, because again, she was like a firm believer in like that this place was haunted. And I was like, look, I think it's fine. And then I was messing with her, and so I was like, maybe it's a pervy ghost. And she's like, stop it. And I was like, maybe he's just waiting for, you know, me to leave so he could like throw some moves on you, like stuff like that. being
Sounds
a
like
dick.
you.
Because again, I don't give a fuck. I don't think this shit's real. So I lay down, because at the time I was having this really weird like heart thing that turned out to not be a heart thing. It's another thing. Anyway, but so I had to like lay down, because I was like, I used to go through like a lot of pain in the chest area. So I lay down because I'm just like, oh my God. And so my ex is like rubbing my shoulders, because like it hurt really fucking bad, this thing I was having. And all of a sudden I hear and feel a giant slap on the back of my head. Now keep in mind, I can feel both of her hands because they're on my shoulders. A giant slap hits me on the head, pushes my face into the pillow, and then my ears just ring constantly to the point where I can barely hear. And I yelled like, "What the fuck?" And so she's like freaking out because she thinks it's my heart thing. And I'm like, no, like that's fine. Did you just slap me? And she's like, why the fuck would I slap you? And I was like, I don't know, but something just did. And she's like, Jeff, my hands were on your shoulders. Like you didn't like, you don't remember that? And I was just like, okay, this is getting really weird. And that like that ringing just like would not go away for like an hour. It felt
Some
like I got
X-Files
punched.
shit.
Yeah, it felt like I got punched in the back of the head.
So how long after that did you move out of that place? After
So
you got slapped on the back of the head?
it was many months. I wasn't gonna leave because again, I still feel like there has to be something else to this. But
So, well,
it was,
all right. So what
think
did
I was there
anything
with
else
that
happen
fight.
after that?
What?
Did anything happen after that?
Yeah, I mean, so like a little bit. But nothing like that. That was like the peak of it. There was some stuff where like things would get knocked over and whatever, but at that point I had the idiot cat, so I didn't know if it was them or the whatever was going on.
The cat started doing stuff too, though.
Yeah, but I think that's just cat shit when they just like look at stuff. They do that now.
Okay.
So, but to be fair, when they do it now, they don't do it as focused as they did then because they were like locked, and this is like both of them locked
On the same like corner.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
and then so I just want to. I know I've been talking for a little bit. I'm gonna
That's
finish
fine.
this up, but
That's good stuff.
this is so 3 years before this. I'm driving with my friend, and it's 3. I have to like it was like 3:37 in the morning. That's kind of important.
That's the witching hour.
Because it was like 3:37. I remember we're driving down by this building, not even an old building. It's like right by Garden of the Gods, like the street Garden of the Gods.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff. So he's in the middle of telling me a story, and we're driving, and all of a sudden to the left I see and this is gonna sound dumb, keep in mind I'm still a skeptic, but a tall man in a neon green suit with a hat, and it's like all green, like this all fluorescent like neon green. As soon as I see that, I don't say anything. Dan, who's in the middle of telling me a story, just stops talking and just like slams on his brakes, and he says, it's like dead silent in the car, and he said, did you just see a and I said, a neon green dude in a hat? And he said, holy fuck, because I swear to God. So he was like, what do we do? And I was like, pull over to where that was, because it has to be an actual person. And he's like, he was glowing, and I was like, I know, but like what else is it gonna be? Yeah, but so we went over there, and there was nothing there. And I was trying to say, like, maybe it was like a reflection off of the street light. I don't know. But like a couple months after that, Dan texted me and said, I just saw that neon shit again when I was by the building.
What?
And it was at 3:37,
What?
like the exact same
Whoa.
time. And that was weird. But that was before the Manitou thing. But I was still like, there has to be a logical explanation. And even after that fucking Manitou thing where I pretty much got bitch slapped by a spirit, I still think there has to be something other than ghosts are real.
Well, that had to be fun for the ghost, because or whatever it was, because I've stage punched you once, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so the neon guy was interesting too. So we should take a shot to Jeff's stories, and then I'll get to mine.
Jesus. All right. Well, I'm trying to like chew on that one.
Which
Yeah, it's
one?
weird.
I don't know, man. The only time I've ever experienced like weird shit, like paranormal stuff, has been in Colorado Springs, and you know what? It might just be that sort of a place. It's an old town.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla lived there. The headquarters for like Air Force Space Command research and development is there, so you know they know about like flying saucers and shit like
Well,
that.
and my story's in the Springs as well.
Ah,
There we go.
here we go.
Colorado Springs, America's most haunted town. All right,
It could be.
we'll see. All right, cheers, guys.
Salute.
I'm not gonna lie. I took my shot too early, and then when you said cheers, I pretended to cough so you'd think I took it then.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
a liar.
A little cheesy, Jeff.
I'm a
You didn't have
liar.
to tell us that.
Yeah,
I'm a liar.
it's all right. Jeff just called popcorn on himself. So,
There, guys.
my story happened when I was young, and I only have my slight memory of a couple of the minor occurrences, and then my dad's memory of the bigger ones. But I lived in Colorado Springs near basically Academy in Austin Bluffs. And
Oh,
what?
I went there.
Yeah,
I've been there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have been there.
Graduation party.
Yep. Oh no, different spot, different spot.
Oh.
But anyways, so the first things that started happening is my dad would hear a creak, and these are what I would remember from the house was this creak that happened. There was two creaks in this hallway that led towards my room, and which was right next to my dad's room, and so there was the creak right next to my dad's room was the louder one because it was more worn. So the he would hear the soft creak at the end of the hallway, and the loud creak right at the near his door, and he would hear it walking back and forth like a lot. And so one night he went to where the he like stood by his door and waited till he heard the louder of the creaks and threw open the door and there was nothing there. Um, and so the next thing that happened is my dad woke up, and this is when my dad was single at the time. My dad woke up and all of his ties were thrown on his bed on top of him. Um, and the only people that were in the house at the time were me as a little kid and him. Um,
Huh.
Truth time. Did you do it? Was it
did I
you?
do it?
Do
Well,
it.
honestly, I don't think so. And my dad said I was always a good sleeper, and this is not something that's not something he told me in context of the ghost story. That's something that when I was a kid, I was just always a good sleeper. I still sleep like a fucking rock now, but um, but and the next thing is my dad. He was sleeping, and we were both sleeping. And at this point, he had two roommates living in the downstairs basement. But he in the kitchen was just down the hall from us, down the same hall that had the creek to it. But he heard the cabinets opening and closing, and he could hear the clicks when it closed. And he was walking down the hallway. He like got out of the bedroom and walked down the hallway to tell his roommates to be quiet. And when he got to the kitchen, the some of the cabinets were open, some of them were open partially, but there was no his roommates were there. And in order to get away from the kitchen, like for his roommates to get back downstairs, they'd have to go down the stairwell, which is in view of the hallway.
Nah.
Hmm.
So,
So,
but this was the one that I experienced during that. But and this is one that's a little shaky because I was a kid. I could have been having a dream, but my dad told me that when and I remember waking my dad up because I was scared. He told me that I woke him up and told him that there was a little boy in my room asking where my dad was or where his dad was. Um,
uh,
yeah, like I said, that was a little shaky. I was a kid, but the thing that I find interesting about it is when my grandma found out about all this. She's very Catholic, and she came and she blessed the house with holy water. And after that, all of this stopped. And that's one of the few things that I find interesting about the like you were talking about the Catholic dynamic when it comes to because my grandmother's Catholic. I was baptized Catholic at 2 weeks old. Um, but my grandmother's Catholic, and she blessed the house with a Catholic rite. And after that, the experiences stopped. And so that's like I said, that's the one thing that I find intriguing. Is that family experience.
Hmm.
so okay, guys. Let's just pretend that that shit is real. Like that ghosts are real. You both have some stories that are like pretty convincing. It's hard to make an explanation. It's like, oh, it was a gas leak in my house and I was hallucinating, sort of a deal. But the fact of the matter is, even if those like all those like sensations and experiences, happened uh outside of like your own consciousness, if that makes sense, like then what could it possibly be? You know what I mean? Because like just say for instance, we're learning more and more about like quantum physics and how like time is less linear than we think and things overlap and matter isn't as solid as we thought it was before and that sort of stuff. Like, do you ever think stuff like that has something to do with it?
Well,
That
okay, I do hear what you're saying with that, and this kind of comes back to the EVP because the whole process behind EVP is they think that spirits can manipulate electric energy. And this might actually explain why Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs is seems to be an odd hotspot for that sort of thing. Um,
oh,
what if it's exactly that? Is that this is all happening because of like random fluctuations in electromagnetic energy, and it's not necessarily spirits of the undead, or not undead, but spirits of the dead, but uh, just like memories within the surroundings. Like there's a lot of like Native Americans used to believe that totems or things that you carried with you or things that were around you could carry the energy of you. What if it's not like I said, people who are dead, but just like a memory of something that happened?
yeah, something like that. I mean, because I have a hard. If anybody actually thinks about it, we have a hard time understanding what time is, you know, and things that happened in the past and where we are now. Just thinking about that sort of difficult. So there are people who kind of try and study how time actually works, and how that ties in. Like, I mean, and then tying into consciousness, it's like an even weirder deal. It's something that's almost impossible. It's like, trying, you can't see the forest from the trees, sort of a thing. Like you'd have to get out of it to really
Oh
understand.
yeah, like the picture's too big.
Huh?
Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
picture, yeah, the picture's too big. Yeah, Jeff, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, if there's gonna be any sort of explanation uh, for that, I suppose that's the most logical. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm at with this whole thing. Uh, I really, when people ask me if I believe in ghosts, just flat out, my answer is still no, because I just don't feel like talking to them.
Yeah.
But but I don't know.
It's
I would say that what you were just talking about is the closest you can get to an explanation that is somewhat realistic, but also still explains the like more fantastical parts of it without like just omitting them, if that makes sense.
Okay,
no,
so before we
but
get away from that, I wanted to ask, do you guys think that that could explain the notion of a haunted house where there's this house that is been around for a long time, experienced a lot of things within its walls, and has the memories of it behind it, and that could explain why places like even like the Amityville Horror, because if its energy is what it is, the energy of like a multiple murder inside a house, do you think that could maybe not recreate that photo that we were talking about earlier, but recreate some of the experiences that people say inside the house?
That's a I oh, to a minor extent. Like, do I think that it's gonna be like, like that situation where it's something that's gonna convince somebody to murder their whole family?
No, no, no. I'm not talking about the. I'm saying if after the murder, the energy of the chaotic nature of that murder do you think that that could transfer into some of the people's experiences, like these investigators that have made it one of the hot spots for paranormal investigations?
I mean, I guess so.
Well, I mean, don't.
Who's to say?
Well, okay. Here's the deal with that question, though. Jason is like, okay, like let's say that sort of thing is possible. Like experiences and memories are able to imprint themselves onto non-sentient, like things like houses. It's like, okay, nobody really understands like the concept of like gravity and matter and like electromagnetism to the point of like saying, oh yeah, I totally fucking get it. You know, it's like you have to say to yourself, okay, so what if it is real? Then what do I not understand about the world around me, and what am I totally missing out on? It's kind of hard to say. Like it's almost like just like what Jeff said. It's like, well, who's to say? And it's like yeah, I don't get what's going on completely. Maybe it is possible. I mean, sure. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, though, I mean, I think you probably see a lot more ghosts at like a Holocaust museum or something like that.
If I mean, and this is, you may have touched on this when you brought this up. I've had a lot of scotch now, but the
Do we do another shot?
always. I
Since
just
you brought it up.
did like 4, but okay.
You do another shot.
Let me make sure I don't lose my train of thought.
All right, that was our show. You heard Cypress Hill's "Insane in the Brain" on the intro, and that was off the Black Sunday album. I chose that song because my friends seem to think I'm a little crazy for believing in ghosts. And you will hear Death Clock's "Go Forth and Die" off of the Death album on the outro. I chose that because if you do go forth and die, why not give us a shout out from beyond the grave and the argument once and for all. Be sure and check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Absurdist Asylum. That's Absurdist with an apostrophe. And shoot us an email at absurdasylum@gmail.com. I'll leave you with this little gem about our hometown where Jeff and Peter and I met. And thanks for listening.
I'm glad you all yeah. All that shit over there is actually sort of, for me, since I haven't been around for a while. Like,
and we talked about
sort of
the
nuts.
Colorado Springs thing. I was up in Boulder, and I was at a club on, I think it was Halloween, and I ran into this girl, and like I started talking to her, and like she was smoking weed, but she had some fucking herbal fucking cigarettes that she fucking had, but she was like, "Oh, I'm a psychic," and blah 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 blah. And I told her that I was from Colorado Springs because I was still living there at the time, and she fucking was like, "Oh my God, Colorado Springs is such a weird place. Like it has such a weird energy." Blah 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 blah. And it's like it's weird how that was kind of like a theme of what happened tonight.
I guess so. I mean, like, okay. Nikola Tesla was there for a while. He lit up Nikola Tesla actually powered the entire city.
That's what
for over a year.
Electric energy is like. It could be
leftover.
So,
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, the place could be still charged with that because, I mean, a Tesla coil is such a thing, and that's something that actually ghost hunters use is like a Jacob's ladder or a Tesla coil to like charge houses.
A Jacob's ladder? You mean like that weird piercing that Jeff has?
Yeah.
The dick one?
No, I mean like that's like forgotten technology. He powered the entire city wirelessly.
Yeah.
With AC current for over a year.
Yeah.
Through the ground.
Until Thomas Edison killed that elephant with AC current to show that Nikola Tesla was his version of electricity was dangerous, even though both are equally as dangerous.
Right. Who's pooping?
Jeff, did you just flush the toilet? Did we just hear you flush the toilet?
Oh yeah, no, I took my laptop so I could pee.
How big was your shit?